Good morning, everyone. We are here today with Haris Sardar. I'm going to give everybody a couple of seconds to join us. I see people are jumping on the call, and our webinar today is very exciting. I am incredibly honored to be talking to Haris. And as you can see, some of his painting behind him, it's beautiful. He is unbelievable. So I'm very excited to share his journey with all of you.
Thank you.
Let's get going. Good morning, Haris, and welcome to Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much. I know you're super busy right now, so we really appreciate you taking time to talk to our affiliate members. So just to give a little background on you, and then I'll let you talk about your own background yourself. So Haris is a Canadian-Pakistani visual artist and an actuary currently living and pursuing both disciplines in Toronto in Canada. Haris is a fellow of the Society of Actuaries and a fellow of the Canadian Institute of Actuaries. He received his designations in 2012 and is the Director of Pension Solutions at CAD Pension Plan. As most Canadians know, CAD is one of the larger jointly sponsored defined benefit pension plans in Canada, with 18 billion in assets and 85,000 members across provinces, industries, and unions. His artistic practice began in childhood and included various mediums such as watercolor, gouache, sculpture, and stained glass. After an 18-year hiatus to pursue his professional development as an actuary, his passion led him back to the fine arts in 2019. His visual art practice has been described as referential surrealism, marrying various artistic genres, including impressionism, pop art, realism, to create a unique signature style. Haris wants to fill his audience with a sense of wonder, imagination, and transport them into an alternate reality. As an artist, he has been featured in various publications, received numerous accolades, and his work is being acquired by collectors across the world, including London, New York, Paris, Karachi, Lahore, Dubai, Singapore, Montreal, and Toronto, and many more places. Thank you, Haris, for being with us today. So let's start with your background. How did you find out about the actuarial science, and how did you decide to pursue this career?
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Marta, for giving me the opportunity to come and share my experiences with our affiliate members. I think you did such a good job of introducing me that I think they already know what I'm already about. So I will start by just confirming the fact that, yes, I am a fellow to both the Canadian and the Society of Actuaries. I got my designations, obtained both of them in 2012. So it's been just over 11 years now that I've been an actuary. Marta asked me, how did I hear about the whole actuarial career? Well, as Marta had mentioned, that I grew up in Pakistan and I moved to Canada for university. When I was in high school, I took the entire gambit of the mathematics and the arts, and at that point, I wanted to be the wolf on Wall Street to get myself financially independent as soon as possible. And the first thing when I came to my university in Canada, which is the University of Western Ontario, and looked at the job bank, the greatest number of jobs available at that time in 2001 were for this thing called actuarial science. And I was like, okay, screw business school, I'm going to be an actuary. So honestly, it was the pursuit of trying to make myself financially independent. And through that, I knew I had this deeply, I would say, very close to my heart, creative side, which I knew that in order to pursue the first and the cleanest and quickest way to financial freedom was to give it up. And fortunately, unfortunately, I did do that, but I will say that to all of you today that I would have never chosen to do it in any other way. So I would say actuarial science was, to me, the first reason was because it was super in demand, 0% unemployment. A lot. Then I obviously researched with my I am an actuary now, so the attention to detail comes very innately. So researched the crap out of it, mind my language. I was just at a conference yesterday where they say people who curse live longer, so don't mind me. But yeah, after the research, the respect in the industry, the immediate recognition of the fact, oh, you're an actuary, kind of gives you validity right off the bat. And I noticed that while researching this in university, and here I am qualified as one.
Very, very exciting. So now we know why you decided to be an actuary, to become an actuary, but when did you realize that you were an artist and that you wanted to pursue that as your passion?
Well, I think that I have always been an artist right at birth, right? My earliest memories, and it's funny because I am a surrealist, so my earliest memories were literally being in the crib and looking at these curtains. I still remember them, these curtains that my parents had in their house, and it was different roses and I guess violets at the time, and it green background with red and bluish, violetish kind of flowers hanging into them. I still remember that I stared at those and they started to emerge as human figures to me, right? So maybe I'm psychotic, I don't know. but I think the inspiration of color came really early on. And then again, the fact that I grew up in Pakistan, very, very colorfully cultural, vibrant community, plus a lot of influence of art in different forms in terms of dance, music, fine arts, you name it. It's all of that was practiced within the household, which consisted of a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles and family. So it was always encouraged to be artistic and to express yourself artistically. So to going back to your question, when did I know I was an artist? I would say I was an artist first before I was anything else.
That is very interesting. And I don't think that you're psychotic. I think you're very talented. So I just wanted to very quickly just tell our audience that there is a button at the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. If you have any questions as he's talking, we are going to take all the questions at the end, but you can enter it at any time. So as you're thinking about it, just enter the questions and I will ask Haris in the order that they were received. So don't wait till the end, you can do it at any point. So Haris, you are a pension actuary. What is it like? What is kind of like your job, in broad terms, and what is the best part of making sure that people are able to retire?
Okay, so I can again go on and speak to all of these questions for a very long time, but I will start with the fact on how did I choose, first of all, to enter the pension stream, because as you're going through actuarial exams and the affiliates and us know that you have all these streams that you can be part of. So I'll start there and then kind of develop from there. Given the fact I also already had this creative side and I had this analytical side, I was good at math. Well, and I also had a very, very gregarious personality, which is not, again, common to the profession. I knew I needed to be in something which makes the most of the abilities that I have. And not to say that any other track would have not done that for me, but the most engaging track for me was to be consulting, right? Like I wanted to be a consultant, and the reason I wanted to be a consultant was that it would give me that human touch and give me that client facing role rather than being behind a computer. Not that, again, there's anything wrong with being behind a computer, but it's just preferences. So for me, I wanted to do public speaking. I wanted to be in front of clients. And so right off the bat, I knew I wanted to be in consulting. One of the only and the major practices of consulting was pensions, or is still even pensions, right? So my first job right out of school was with Hewitt Associates as a pension consultant. And back in the day, I only had 2 exams while I got my job out of university. And then I literally didn't change my jobs. Hewitt got acquired by Aon, and I had my entire consulting career at one firm because it was giving me everything that I wanted. And so right before the pandemic, it's interesting because this is how the whole art enveloped. I took a trip to Barcelona, and this was my 3rd or 4th trip to Barcelona, just because I love the city. I love Gaudi. I love everything about it. I took a trip to Figueres, and that's where Salvador Dali is from, and is buried there. So I went to the crypt, and through our travels, I'm talking so 2019, not 3.5 years ago. Again, I've always talked about the fact that I wanted to pursue art on a more than just a hobby basis, or even at least start. And after that trip, I had this like magical feeling come over me that, Harrison, you have to do it now. And this was right before the pandemic. And I literally came back to Toronto, and I picked up a paintbrush and never looked back, right? So that was 2019. And then fortunately for me, COVID happened. Right. So what I say is that I won COVID because it gave me all this time in the world to put together my portfolio, to put together my entire art collection. So literally the 2 years that we were inside, I was like, okay, I love color. I love flowers. I love all of this, extreme visual pleasure. So what am I going to do? I'm going to start painting all of those things that I can't see outside. I'm going to bring them inside. Thus, you can see the irises on my ballerinas at the back. And these are like literally, these are like large scale painting, right? They're 5 feet by 4 feet pieces, and most of my work is big. And over the pandemic, I was able to collect 30 pieces, of which 15 to 20 have already been sold and shipped to, as Marta was saying, across the world. So coming back to the pension, so in consulting, it requires a lot of your time, right? So I knew that if I wanted to pursue the art, I couldn't no longer be a consultant. And in the back of my head, I had this voice telling me, you have to do this for yourself. And then I kind of decided, you know what, I am going to pursue the art perhaps full time, and kind of maybe go out of or phase out of the actuarial career, because it has given me all that financial stability that I can follow my passion, right? And fortunate enough to do that. And in how many careers can you do that? I'm knocking my table, which is wood. You can't see it, but feel fortunate enough to be able to work as an actuary for 17, 18 years and be like, now I still have the energy to follow my passion. So I already had made up my mind, and along came the CAT pension plan, which is a jointly sponsored pension plan in Canada. It's a jointly sponsored pension plan which provides defined benefit pension, secure pension, lifetime pension for a defined contribution type funding arrangement. So a lot of people, and I was at the SOA conference, the annual conference, the Impact conference in Orlando, speaking about this, because it's a very innovative and new concept. People in the pension industry have never heard about it. And they're like, well, Haris, how does it make sense that you have fixed funding for a lifetime benefit? Who takes care of all the risks? I can go on a whole session on how that happens, but anyways, the agenda of the pension fund was to bring back defined benefit pension plans to all Canadians. And they approached me to be a spokesperson for the pension fund to ensure that employers, employees, larger North America, Europe are hearing about all this innovative work we're doing in pensions. And at that point, right there, I knew, you know what, this is my duty as an actuary. This is the higher power calling me saying, Haris, this combines everything that you need. It has the social aspect to it. It has the educational aspect to it. It has the public speaking aspect to it. And guess what? When you're at galas and talking to C-suite at different large events, they don't want to start talking about pensions. They want to talk art, right? So guess what happened? So I go in with the art. I build my relationship, And then they remember me because there's an actuary who's a professional artist. And then the next day I can call them and be like, oh, by the way, can we speak about pension as well, right? So it is, I don't know, I am truly amazingly blessed that I've been able to find and combine both aspects of my brain, of my personality, to be able to live a very, very, very fulfilling life. Because as a consultant, I got everything but my creative energy out. So I would say the 18 years of suppression, the creative suppression of qualifying as an actuary has now given me the financial freedom to let it all out loose, but on my terms. So I do it on my own. I am representing myself. I don't have gallery representation. A lot of artists, when they're starting out, get taken advantage of the large corporate galleries because they want to. I don't have anything against galleries, but I'm just saying that the way that the business is set up, the person who wins the most is the middleman, which is the galleries, and the person who loses the most is the actual person who produces the work, right? Because there's so many artists and there's only so many very high net worth buyers. And to connect the so many artists to those buyers, you need a middle person. Well, but for me, I am an actuary and I have access to all the C-suite and the business owners to do it directly. So I don't have to pay 50, 60% of the sale value to the middle person, right? So I don't know how the higher powers have made it all combined and possible for me to be able to pursue both the actuary side and the art side, and I'm doing it both, right? And my employer is encouraging me to do both. So because by doing art, I become a better actuary. I become a more well-rounded actuary. Anyways, you can see the passion flow through.
I love the passion, and it's so, you tie everything so well. I know that a lot of the people watching us might feel very inspired by your passion for the actuarial science, for your passion for your art. What would you tell other candidates who are trying to combine their love for actuarial science with other interests, whether it be music or art or anything else?
Okay. First thing, buckle down, get that designation, right? And it peeves me when I see so many talented minds and brilliant minds halfway, oh no, this is too hard. We have other opportunities. Honestly, I'm telling you, buckle down, get it out of the way. Once it's out of the way, the world is your oyster, right? So dream big, work hard, and know what your dream is. Because a lot of people tell me, Haris, oh, how did you know? Oh, you're so lucky that you get to do all of this. Well, I'm like, well, you can be lucky too if you know what you want, right? So first thing, work hard, stay committed, dream big, and know what your dream is. And honestly, I don't know how this is all happening for me, but it is happening. I'm doing my first show by myself in New York City, which opens March 30th, right? I'm competing with 170 galleries from across the world. And I am the first center presentation when you walk into Pier 36 in Manhattan. And I'm the first presentation that you would see. So it's happening. And I'm a director of an $18 billion pension fund, right? So and if you do go down that path of the 5 things that I said, do it, also savor every moment of it, because the journey is so much sweeter than the end result.
That is a very, very good recommendation, because we all know that becoming an actuary is not only about being smart, but about having that determination and that work ethic and persistence, because it's not an easy path, but you made it. And here you are.
Here I am, and I will
doing it all.
to add to that, right? So it's the art, it's the pension, but I also do volunteer on the SOA exam committee, and I've done so since the day that I became a fellow. So I've on the design and accounting exam committee, so I'm the vice chair at this point. And you know what, even that just enriches your life so much by giving back to this community. And we're lucky to have this community like the SOA, where you actually have, you can call them your siblings, you can call them your actuarial siblings across the world, because they understand what you've been through to get where you are. So I would say, even I call it my therapy sessions rather than we get to travel to mark these exams, and you get to see your group of people in the same exam all across North America at all these lovely destinations that the SOA puts up for us, and great perks of doing that. But it also, to me, like a lot of my friends, which very close friends, came from that volunteering opportunity, right? And they feel like therapy because everybody in your daily life knows the grind, all of this, but you go away, you meet these people, which you meet for 4 times a year, and they know who you are. You can tell them your deepest, darkest, whatever secrets, get it all out, and then come back to your regular lives, right? So I'm just saying, so even giving back to the community is so important because it makes you as a whole person.
Yes, and I think that we cannot emphasize the importance for personal growth and professional growth. Volunteering brings you. We have a question from David Alorbor. I'm sorry, David, if I butchered your last name. He says, I just checked your collection, Mr. Harris, and I'm completely blown away. You are truly gifted. My question is, how are you able to balance your actuarial profession and art career?
Yes, so in consulting, it was super difficult. So I would start by saying I have massive, massive respect for people who have kids. I don't, right? And if that is your passion, that is, every person on the call who has children has already won the race, right? I'll just start by saying that. So because my spouse and I don't have children, we have the ability to take any time out of after the day-to-day to put towards your passion. So that would be the first shout out to the parents out there. But then it takes a whole village, very, very, very supportive spouse. She runs all the administrative part of the business part of the art in terms of setting up the calls, the travels, the shows, everything imaginable, like scanning of the paintings, so then they can become prints, making the catalogs, website designing, insurances. So my wife deals with all of that. I deal with all the production part of it. So that means you have to be super duper duper organized. You have to set expectations with your employer on what your job role entails. And if, the expectation in consulting was you have to work 125% of your hours to get ahead. Well, that translates into 50 hours on a 40-hour week. Well, if you are working 50 hours in an actuarial capacity, then you have to be super organized into, okay, these are my start times, these are my stop times, and this is where I start and stop the other thing. The other, it was Brian, right? David, sorry. Yeah, David, the other way that I'm able to balance it is the fact that it's very fortunate enough that one feeds off of the other, in terms of the fact that when you've done mathematical analysis all day long, or in my case, because I don't do mathematical analysis for my actuarial work anymore, but when I've talked to brilliant people like yourself all day long, and shared my story and the catch pension plan and all the intricacies of funding and accounting and all of that, when I sit in front of my easel, I get lost, right? I get lost. All of that. I know my friends who are very, very senior folks in realms of actuarial practice, they keep on dwelling on stress. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we have to do this tomorrow, we have to do that tomorrow, we didn't do this. Well, if you're not sitting in front of a computer, there's nothing you can get accomplished if you're stressing out, right? So the art lets me just completely not divorce the actuarial with my passion. And thus, when I wake up the next morning, I'm fully refreshed, right? So there's somebody said this somewhere, and I hope I don't butcher the saying, but and I hope I'm going to say it properly. But there's no amount of guilt that will fix your past, and there's no amount of stress that will change the future. Right?
Oh my goodness, that is such a good quote.
Right? So what is there then? This present right there, us. So I get up from my computer, I go straight on my canvas. I'm super organized, and I also am very cognizant of mental and health and physical well-being. So I try to fit in an hour of gym 5 times a week as well in there. And I get my 7 hours of sleep as well. So it's all of that is, it sounds like robotic, but I trust you, me, it takes a village, it takes a lot of support around you and your own will and determination to make it all happen. And one more thing is that when you're working and still qualifying as an actuary, your bandwidth is already that expanded that you're already working 2 jobs, right? You're studying 600 hours for FSA exam, plus working in consulting or in insurance or in finance. So you already kind of pre-programmed all your 20s, 30s, whenever you're writing an exam, to be able to deal with that. So I would say that actuaries have this natural bandwidth of having twice as much of a normal worker. So keep that going. Once you're qualified, keep that going. Why not? Put that energy in your love, because we only live once, right? And then that's over. Yeah.
That's a very, very good advice. Suji Park wants to know, it says, I'm interested in drawing. How did you develop your drawing? By YouTube?
Okay, so drawing is very different from painting, right? Mostly what comes natural drawing that comes to me is architecture and symmetry drawing. And I think that's because of the mathematical analysis, right? Like think of Escher. So I can do boxes and 3D boxes. And it helped that it was from high school that I did have Suji a few classes that helped me draw. I'm not a good figurative drawer, but it's always practice. And honestly, you know what? There's a lot of new technology that people are using. If you just want to learn how to draw, you can get all sorts of different projectors. Start with projecting and kind of tracing it out, and then slowly take the projection away, and your hand will get used to those movements to get the perfect proportion. The other thing that works in drawing is to do a grid, right? To do it by grid, make points, put your page in different, I would say put dots on it, and whatever image that you're trying to make, put dots on that, and then you can get the proportion mapped correctly in the grids, because you can divide a page like that into little boxes, and then you can map it a lot better as you're drawing. Those are just like some fast techniques I'm giving you to become a commercial artist, but for pleasure drawing, it's practiced by hand, by charcoal. Charcoal really helps as well because it's different than a point.
That's very interesting. I have one of our staff members wants to know, are there any similarities you found between your work as an actuary? I'm sorry, let me start. Art and math use 2 different parts of the brain. Are there any similarities you found between your work as an actuary and as an artist?
Absolutely. So I would say in my current role, if I wasn't an artist, I wouldn't be doing well, because it makes me a lot more interesting to talk about the art and to talk about actuarial science at the same time, right? Like it's such a juxtaposition of things that it really brews interest by people you're talking to. So that's a direct relationship. From a more technical standpoint, I don't know, I made my spreadsheets very beautiful, if you want to call it that, right? There was a lot of color coding going on in there. There was a lot of like symmetry of how I put my graphs together. But the thing is that, yes, there's completely different parts of the brain, but I can tell you, and I can assure you that I have used them both simultaneously. Right. And what an example of that would be the gridding that I just talked about, because the gridding is very technical, mathematical, but then that gridding helps you to bring in the complete flow art to it. Right.
Very cool. I wanted to give you a chance, we're almost out of time, to talk a little bit about your exhibit in New York. How can people access it if they want to attend? If any of our audience members are in New York, when it is, how they can get a ticket to go in or how they can be part of that if they want to.
Yeah, so as I alluded to earlier, I am showing 8 original pieces with the centerpiece being inspired by Rihanna. Anyways, it opens March 30th, so in 3 weeks at Pier 36, Lower East Side in Manhattan, New York. If you, your family, friend, anybody is in New York or wants to check out the exhibit, I'm in booth 105, and I can share a link with Marta, or I can share my social information, my social platform information. And if you write to me, I can send you the link to complimentary tickets to it.
Very good. I have entered my email address. If anybody has any questions about this, please contact me and I will reach out to Haris and get you those complimentary tickets. I also put Haris's website so you can see his art and his work. It's amazing. And I cannot thank you enough. I am very excited for you. Best of luck in New York, or I don't know if painters and artists say break a leg, but best of luck. And I have no doubt that it's going to be a huge success. Thank you, Haris.
Thank you so much, Marta. Thank you, everybody who took time out of their precious schedules to hear me roar.
And this will be recorded and posted on our affiliate video library for anybody who wants to maybe refer a friend, or if you want to watch it again. Thank you so much and have a wonderful Friday and good luck in New York.
Bye.
Bye, Haris. Okay, we're done.